Discover the little-known story of Stalin's ambitious plans to leverage the Arctic as a strategic frontier in his bid to challenge the USA. From his early exile to the systematic Soviet exploration and militarization of the North Pole, this video delves into the historical events that shaped the USSR's Arctic policy. Welcome to IK Watch, educational platform about history, art, literature and technologies. So, let's get back to the story. It is likely that Stalin's first ideas about the potential of the northern part of Eurasia emerged during his exile in Turukhansk, where he stayed from 1913 to 1916. Given that Stalin lived in an era of rapid technological progress, he thought of the Arctic in terms of historical perspective, understanding that communication and transportation methods would reach a completely different level. As early as the spring of 1923, despite Lenin still being alive, Stalin came to actual power. It was during this period that the Arctic policy of the Soviet Union became systematic. From 1923 to 1932, 19 polar radio meteorological stations were built on the coast and islands of the Arctic Ocean. On July 31, 1928, a commission was created to promote the USSR in the Arctic. It was headed by Sergei Kamenev, who in May 1927 held the position of Deputy People's Commissar for Military and Naval Affairs. Only one handshake separated Kamenev from Stalin through Klim Voroshilov, who was Stalin's right-hand man on all military matters. During the same period, the development of Arctic aviation began actively. In particular, the Yug-1 aircraft was developed, which was a militarized version of the German passenger aircraft Junkers. From 1929, as the production of domestic aircraft was established, they began to be replaced by bombers and torpedo bombers TB-1, as well as military reconnaissance aircraft Ju-20. On Franz Josef Land, Otto Schmidt's expedition first navigated the Northern Sea route along the northern part of Eurasia. On December 17, 1932, the main directorate of the Northern Sea Route was created. Until 1953, it was the main organization responsible for promoting the USSR in the Arctic Ocean. It was also headed by Otto Schmidt, but Mark Shmerlev, who held the rank of Aviation Lieutenant General, became the deputy for sea and air transport. A notable fact is the commissioning of the White Sea-Baltic Canal on August 2, 1933. At that time, the three main shipyards of the USSR were located in Leningrad, Nikolaev and Gorky. Their problem was that to enter the world ocean, they had to pass either through the Danish channels or the Bosporus, Dardanelles and Gibraltar, while from the White Sea they could sail anywhere. In 1952, after the creation of the Volga-Don Canal, it became possible to transfer ships from the Black Sea to the White Sea. An important step towards the militarization of the Arctic Ocean was the creation of a military shipbuilding plant near Arkhangelsk. In 1939, the construction of the first ship at this plant began in the city of Molotovsk. This ship was a battleship. In 1937, a landing flight from Moscow, North Pole, Vancouver, took place. The flight was organized by the military under Stalin's direct supervision. Despite the beginning of World War II, the USSR continued to explore the North Pole. From 1933 to 1939, the USSR purchased aircraft and fleet developments in the USA, such as the Catalina flying boats. It is difficult to overestimate their importance in the exploration of the North Pole because they could fly for 20 hours without landing. On April 3, 1943, the AN-3 aircraft was the first in the world to conquer the North Pole in terms of inaccessibility, landing on an ice floe. That was the most unreachable point for landing regardless of the country of departure. In 1945, Stalin sent another expedition to the Arctic, which flew there on an American Skytrain plane. The goal was achieved on October 2nd under the moonlight. This was the first flight to the North Pole in polar night conditions. After that, reconnaissance in the Arctic Ocean was carried out year-round, not only in warm and light seasons. The number of reconnaissance flights deep into the North Pole doubled. In 1945, there were 107, and in 1946, it became 228. The number of aircraft intended for polar aviation almost doubled between 1945 and 1947, from 33 to 56 aircraft, with most models being military. As the Cold War dawned, the Soviet Union's Arctic ambitions revealed a stark contrast between exploration and military strategy. Stalin's vision transformed the Arctic into a vital chessboard in the global power struggle. Stay tuned for more intriguing stories of history's hidden maneuvers and the extraordinary feats that defined the 20th century's geopolitical landscape. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss an episode.